is one of the top construction consulting firms in North America. Unlike other business consulting firms, they exclusively work with construction companies and contractors. As experienced contractors and business owners, Ascent Consulting understands how their clients think and operate, which is why they choose them to help solve their most important challenges. Adam started out as an electrical apprentice while in college, pursuing an engineering degree. He decided to stay in the trades and worked his way up through the ranks of several large electrical contractors, eventually landing in senior project management and operational roles with several of the top electrical contractors in the U.S. Additionally, he has worked for several specialty and general contractors and has owned 3 electrical contracting companies. He currently holds a Class II unrestricted electrical contractor's license in the state of Georgia, and with over 2 decades of experience in engineering, business, construction management, and operations, Adam made the decision to step away from contracting. He started Ascent Consulting as a way to give back to the construction and contracting community, and now offers his knowledge and experience to organizations looking for ways to grow and improve. So the topic for today that Adam has for you is local and national trends in commercial real estate and construction, a consultant's perspective.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely.
Nice to see everybody this morning. I did not put a PowerPoint together. I just got a few speaking notes in front of me, so I'll be kind of glancing around. So I started Ascent Consulting in 2014. We're based here in Atlanta. I was a contractor here in Atlanta. I built a bunch of the high rises you can see out of the windows around here as an electrical contractor. Worked with some of the big GCs in town. I also did a lot of industrial work earlier in my career. Now, as a consultant that works with companies all over the US, I have the pleasure of serving with them and helping them build their businesses, improve their operations, come up with growth and strategy to, expand their businesses. I also get the opportunity to learn about all these different markets. We're currently working with clients in 12 different states. And I'm seeing a lot of trends across the country. Some of them we're seeing here in Atlanta, some of them we're not seeing yet. There's some diversity. California looks a lot different than Atlanta does, but there are a lot of similarities. So just a few things I picked up on over the last 3 months and that we're really seeing in our client base right now. Backlog completion is outpacing new work sales. They're finishing work faster than they're getting new work, and they're starting to run out of work, or at least slow down. There's a lot of repricing going on. So a lot of the general contractors and developers, the job hadn't started. They slammed the brakes on back in March. They're going back to the table now and asking everybody to tighten up their numbers. We've actually had a couple of clients that were under contract, got stopped before the work started. Contractors are exercising their termination for convenience clause. There's no payoff because the work hadn't started. And then they can put it back on the street or go back and use it as a negotiating tool with their subcontractors and their generals. We're expecting, as everybody's heard, selling prices are going down and it's becoming a buyer's market. Owners and developers are going to have more leverage over contractors and subs. They're going to be able to reduce pricing. 5-10% is what we're hearing across the board. West Coast, East Coast, Northeast, Southeast, 10%. We need you to cut 10% out of your number, and you got to find it, because as a contractor, you only have a few different ways you can save money. Cheaper labor, cheaper materials, and the vendors are not dropping pricing on a lot of stuff right now. There's escalation going on. So you got to start using cheaper labor, or you got to get better at organizing and managing your labor. This is going to result in a lot more risk on the contractors and the subs. Schedules, everybody's saying we're going to need more time because of all the safety protocols, but the finance guys don't want you to take 14 months for a 12-month project. They want to hold the 12 months or even get it done sooner before rates go up. So even though money's cheap, everybody's still very tight-minded right now. We think finance is going to even have tighter terms, pushing schedule compression, as I mentioned, and that's going to mean that if you're not good at planning your work, you're going to suffer. There's nobody you can go to. There's no recourse. They are going to build a schedule, and you're going to have to follow it, and it's all about you being able to organize your labor and your materials, logistics, those are all going to be really important for people who are actually putting the work in place. I think we all know that construction rebound lags economic rebound. So the economic rebound has to happen kind of the federal economic level before it hits our market. We don't know exactly what that lag period is. It could just be a few months, but we know that that's the precursor. And what we're hearing right now is that's not happening until after the election. The market hates uncertainty. Nothing's going to get really going until after the election, and it's just a matter of, we just need the election to get over with. We got 65 days left, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So 2 months. We need 2 more months of this uncertain instability before something happens like a real direction. That means the construction is probably not going to really recover until 2021. So we've got about 5 or 6 months before we really start feeling it. We've already seen the recovery. You know, everything that stopped in Q2 came back in Q3, at least to go back to the table for pricing exercises. There's construction popping up all over town. Projects have restarted. People are back to work. The $600 a week unemployment edition ran out a few weeks ago, so that meant more construction workers went back to work because they weren't getting paid more to stay home. So, I mean, that was great to help them through, but it also hurt the contractors and everybody who had labor on job sites. Just a few tidbits we've also been recommending our clients to do. Don't take low margin work at high volume just to make overhead. It's better, unfortunately, to cut your staff and lower your overhead or furlough people than to go chase a bunch of work that could last 6 or 8 months that's not making you any money. We don't know which way things are going, and if that's not covering, you know, one of those drops off and you're not covering your bills, you're still gonna have to cut. Make the tough, smart decisions now instead of more tough, more painful decisions later, or risk going out of business. Additionally to that, taking a lot of low margin work just increases your risk. Every time something goes sideways, you know, you're getting closer and closer to net zero or going negative on a job, so we're telling them not to chase work. If you don't already have credit established, you might be a little late, but now's the time to go get it if you don't already have it. Get some reserves in place, get some backup, get some redundancy, get more credit cards if you're ready to ride it out. And a few other people, I heard you mention this earlier, Jesse, is if you don't, there's going to be less competition coming out of this. There's companies that are not going to be positioned well. They're not going to have planned properly. They're going to fail, which means that those who survive will have a thinner market competition, which means prices will eventually go back up. Just a few little things about sectors that we're seeing across the country. Retail down, restaurant down, pretty obvious. Assembly areas like concert halls, churches, those are down right now. Hotels, way down. Some areas that are on the rise, healthcare, single-family home construction is picking way back up. We're hearing from single-family home builders that they're trying to double volume in 2020. Distribution warehouses we've talked about. Highway and civil and government jobs. Government is putting people to work. They're investing in infrastructure. We'll know more after the election if that continues. Renewable energy. We have a solar company in Connecticut that is bonkers. People are throwing solar on roofs. They're trying to get cogen, anything they can do. Data centers, of course, e-commerce, distribution centers. Remodeling work is up, both residential and commercial. Infrastructure in general, K through 12 was mentioned, K through 12 was on the rise. Grocery stores. Everybody went to the grocery store straight for 5 months. They couldn't even go out to eat for 2 or 3 of those months. Grocery stores are on the rise. The one that's really interesting, and I was talking to somebody earlier in the crowd about this, is multifamily. Multifamily in urban centers, way down. Multifamily in the suburbs, going skyrocket, going through the roof. So there's some ideas about sectors we're seeing nationally. That's what I got for you all today. Thanks.
Made some good points. I especially missed the concerts.
I know.
So, any questions for Adam? Well, I think that, yeah, go ahead, Simon.
Hey Adam, Simon Goodhead. We're seeing architects and engineers across the country having a brilliant year in terms of revenue. You know, the stay-at-home didn't really have an impact to the revenue and the bottom line. But what has happened is backlog is dropping off very, very quickly. And new work coming in. Some firms aren't seeing that. Other firms are just seeing this precipitous drop. That, I imagine, is going to feed through to the construction industry March time, right? If you think about design sequencing. How does that factor into kind of what you're seeing nationwide, what contractors do?
Well, that's definitely the work getting completed is outpacing sales, right? The backlog is not as strong as the pipeline. People are running out of work. It looks like they're starting to run out of work. The thing was, the way I kind of imagine this, it's like there was a dip in Q2 in work that went out to the street or design work. And in Q3, all that backlog came and it flooded the market. We have clients right now that can't keep up with the number of bid proposals that are coming in. I don't know how that's eventually going to smooth out over the next 6 to 12 months. If developers and owners and GCs can't get bids in fast enough and they don't have good numbers, they're not going to move forward. So I think it'll kind of even out over the next 12 months, but that's just one way that I think about it. I mean, when I hear that, I just talked to an electrical contractor yesterday, and they're a residential multifamily electrical contractor. He can't keep up with the number of bid proposals coming in from general contractors and homeowners and architects. He can't, it's insane. He's like, I'm getting 10 requests a week. I can't price more than 3 in a week. He's trying to find an estimator, and he can't find an estimator. Everybody on the estimating side is stacked up. So I don't know how it's really going to play out. That's what I hope happens, is that in a year it's all smoothed out, but I think it's going to be wavy for the next 12 months.
Speaking of healthcare, in my sweet spot, what I was curious is that even with COVID, like healthcare, they didn't shut down, and construction projects did not shut down. So I'm just curious with how contractors, especially in the electrical industry, are able, or if they're even successful in trying to continue to feed that pipeline, because that's not going away. This virus isn't going away, and the needs and how they're changing in healthcare is changing. So how, are you seeing anything with your clients in terms of what they're doing to be innovative to get more qualified, contractors in that particular market, specifically healthcare?
So you're asking about subcontractors trying to get work from general contractors in the healthcare industry? Did I hear that right?
Because the demand is so great, that's been an issue that I'm seeing, is that we're not able to get
qualified general contractors.
Because the need, there's projects that need to happen, doctors that need to be in spaces, and they just can't get it done fast enough because they just don't have enough of the right contractors that can work in that specialty right now.
Yeah, I don't have anything in particular around that. I mean, healthcare is a very specialized market sector. There's a whole different level of expertise that's required. And when COVID hit, sorry I used the word.
Not in the jar.
But when everything, 5-6 months ago, there became this huge demand, and those projects don't get built in 2 weeks.
No.
They're still building stuff that kicked off in April. So as they finish that up, there should be some more capacity coming back to the market. But it was a huge swell. April, May, June, there were a lot of big projects got stopped. They couldn't work in areas where there were treatment going on, so they pushed them all out to ancillary off-site locations, temporary structures. That's all wrapping up now, so we have a lot more capacity for healthcare providers. I would think that that's going to roll into new capacity for the existing contractors. There's probably an opportunity for general contractors to start getting into that sector if they're not already in it, but it can be hard to break into any new sector without a lot of planning. And in the middle of all of this, is it chasing, kind of like a lawyer chasing an ambulance, to, for a weird metaphor?
So you haven't seen diversity-wise, like say New York or California, as opposed to Georgia, where you've seen contractors move into those sectors successfully, or is it just the region?
I think it depends a lot from the contractor's perspective as far as what they want to diversify into their previous portfolio. Just like Jim Bob had spoke about today, there's such an emergence and a growth in the industrial sector. I mean, you see a lot of companies trying to diversify that have specifically been involved in a lot of retail and hospitality. So, I mean, we at Cooper and Company general contractors are looking into a lot more medical projects, and it just depends who's, more accredited to do it. And hopefully that vetting process can go on one-to-one. I think Adam said it well.
What I'm seeing up in the Northeast is a lot of multifamily in the suburbs. The solar, we're working with an electrical contractor up there, a solar company up there. Another electrical contractor's reached out to us recently. They're all moving out of Boston. Everybody's trying to get out of Boston, trying to get out of New York. They want to get out of the burbs. They want to get out to Western New Jersey. They want to go into Connecticut. That's what we're seeing right now, is this kind of rebound effect or repulsion out of the big cities. We're seeing that in Texas. We're working with a company that does healthcare and daycare in Texas. Daycare has actually picked up, surprisingly, because you can't put as many kids in the same space. So now they have to double or triple the number of locations so that you can spread the kids out and only have 20 kids in daycare instead of 60. California, everybody's just nuts. So, I mean, it's crazy. Single-family homes are through the roof in California because nobody wants to live anywhere near a hot spot anymore.
Or New York.
Everybody's scared. New York's the same way. Everybody's going to Connecticut. They're going to Jersey. They're going to Pennsylvania. Philadelphia's like hightailing it out to the Allentown area. It's quite something.
Thank you very much, Adam. Well
Thanks,
said.
Chris. Thanks, everyone. Nice to see you.
I want to respect everyone's time to make this next presentation brief, but Adam had spoken a little bit on the growth of the